I'm Romeo Ferrer. I'm a third-year undergraduate here at UC Berkeley. I'm going to talk about my experience of homophobia here on campus and around. Luckily, UC Berkeley is known to be a liberal and very accepting and safe environment. However, in terms of me and my sexuality and my identity, there are some instances where I do feel unsafe because of homophobia that roams around the city of Berkeley. There are times when you walk around, hold hands with a friend who you may or may not be romantically involved with, and there are instances where someone will come up or just stop by and be like, hey, y'all are gonna go to hell, or you know, there are some like religious people or groups that will be flying and whatnot and telling you that what we're doing is wrong. I think that's the extent of what happens in terms of I guess homophobia against gays. At the same time, or those who identify as queer, and at the same time, recently on campus there are these flyers that are showing up saying stop sexual harassment of straight men by, I guess, gay men. And for me, it was kind of weird seeing that, because now like the table has turned in some ways, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it does happen, like you joke around with a straight friend and whatnot, but I don't really see it as a form of sexual harassment towards them. If anything, you know, it's a product of endearment, just like joking around, and they understand that. And I, you know, coming from an environment where I'm always put in uncomfortable and unsafe positions, like I wouldn't want to do that to another individual. So that sort of confused me where that was coming from. But it's nice to know that here at Berkeley, even though all these things may be going on and all these things surround us, there's always a community of support here, whether it be from allies that we have or from other queer identifying members of our communities that are strong and empowered. And I think that's the great part, because, you know, once you're surrounded by these people who are really comfortable and who are fighting for what they believe in and fighting for their rights as mere individuals here on Earth even, it's great to know that you can feel comfortable in your own skin and know that you have a community to back you up. And this is contrary to how I would possibly feel at home. Home to me is San Jose, California, and you know, it's a very diverse place to live in, but sometimes, you know, coming from home when you know people and people have seen you grow up and you live with parents who are conservatively like religious, it's very hard to just be yourself, and it's hard to feel safe and uncomfortable, and sometimes you'll hear homophobic comments even from family members. So being here at Berkeley, you know, helped me let go of all of that, and also gave me a safe place to just be myself and live happy amidst anything or any other like negative commentaries that may be given to us by, you know, other people. So yeah.
Sarah, and I live in all-women's housing at Cal, off campus, and I generally love the environment. It's really diverse and open, there's a lot of great people, and it's very queer-friendly for the most part. But there was one day that I was on Facebook, I know, and you know how it shows you what people have said in the past, like a nostalgia kind of status reminder? It showed me the status of a housemate who, over the summer before moving into our house, she had found out that it was a very queer-friendly environment and was complaining to the sense of, oh, you know, I found out why the house is all women. Oh, brother, it's so annoying. And I was pretty shocked because we had had a lot of good interactions. She seemed like a really nice person. And to find out later that someone has such a poor opinion of you for that reason, it's really shocking and it's really uncomfortable, especially when they're around you every day. So it seems like that issue has gone away, that living in this house has actually changed her opinions, but it was not a good moment for me, and it reminded me that being in Berkeley does not mean always being in a safe place.
James K. Lilly. I am a third year here at Berkeley. My experiences with homophobia around campus or in the city have been... There have been two cases, I guess. My freshman year, I went to Bear Bust, which is this like kind of carnival thing that's set up by all of the units for like RHA and Hall-Ass and stuff like that. And I was wearing booty shorts at People's Park. It was at People's Park. And I was talking with my friend, who was also gay, and we were just talking, hanging out or whatever, and then a homeless man comes up to me and asks me to leave the park because he doesn't like homosexuals. And I refused to leave, obviously, and I told him I was like, well, if you don't like homos, I don't like hobos. So I refused to leave the park, but that was the first time I actually experienced homophobia ever, really, in my life. Yeah, and that was about 2-3 years ago. The second case, I guess, was Halloween of 2009, when a whole group of SEO brothers, including myself, were walking up to Oscar Wilde on Halloween. We were all dressed up in costume and stuff like that. It was pretty ridiculous. There was a lot of us in drag and stuff. I was wearing a black leotard with bunny ears, and I was in like 6-inch stilettos. But people were like yelling at us from across the street and calling us like fags and homos and stuff like that. But it didn't bother me as much as it did some other people, because I mean I was with a whole group of friends. It wasn't like that big of a deal, I guess. That might have not been the best outlook on it. But I knew like I wasn't in any danger and stuff. There was like 20 of us going. So I guess that's what I meant by it wasn't that big of a deal. But it shouldn't have happened regardless. Yeah, and then as we continued to walk, there was other people there that had heard them yelling and stuff like that, and they actually were yelling and supporting us and clapping and like cheering for us across the street, which I really appreciated.
At UC Berkeley, and I am involved with the Vagina Monologues at UC Berkeley, which is run by a student group called V-Day at UC Berkeley. And one way in which I experienced homophobia this year was in this group. Although everyone in the group is really open to LGBT issues and wouldn't necessarily identify as homophobic, kind of homophobia manifests itself in a very subtle way in that community. We often have workshops on sexual violence, sexual pleasure, sexual health, relationships, mental health, etc. And oftentimes we talk about relationships in personal terms and general terms, and a lot of times people would use language, very gendered language and heteronormative language, saying when a girl and a guy get together, or you know, when a girl's boyfriend does this or does that, and it totally invisibilized the experiences of lesbian or bisexual women in the community, and without the intent of doing so, but it did. And so that personally affected me because I felt uncomfortable sharing my own stories about my relationships with women. And it took a while for me to be able to come out and say, you know, about an experience that I had with a girlfriend, or, you know, a girl I met at a club or a bar. And so, you know, in the end we talked about it and within the whole community, and we resolved the issue, and we kind of learned to use more gender-neutral language. But I think that in general at UC Berkeley, it's a way in which, even though in a lot of ways we're like a liberal campus and we are really progressive, the small ways, like our language, can really have a bigger impact on people. And so that's, for me, is how homophobia has manifested itself on the UC Berkeley campus.
Hey, y'all. My name is Francisco Soto. I'm a third year here at the University of California, Berkeley. I'm actually studying Latin American literature and getting my minor in education. So I wanted to talk about homophobia here on campus. Before coming here, I actually got like a perception of the campus itself being gay. You know, like my mom once told me that, like, if I was gonna choose to come to Berkeley, to be careful because in coming to Berkeley, I was gonna become gay. You know, like, and I wasn't out yet, of course, so that's why she made that comment. But when I actually came here, I wasn't really involved or knew anybody in the queer that was active in the queer community here on campus. It wasn't until my second year where I started to meet people that were involved in the queer community on campus that I started to question, you know, and starting to question a lot of things about my identity, and I came out eventually that year. And the homophobia that I experienced here on campus is basically like in the setting, you know, like how I can't discuss subjects or things regarding sexuality in the same way as a straight man could or a straight woman could. You know, I think that in itself is homophobia because, like, there's no tolerance for, like, the subjects that we should have the freedom to discuss and others do, and, you know, we don't enjoy that freedom. But that's basically the experience that I've in regards to homophobia that I've had here on campus. The one thing I don't understand about it is how we as students, like, our role here is to learn, right? And this, you know, gender and sexuality is a subject that we don't know about, and we as students are failing in the fact that we're not, like, taking that step to learn about it, and we're keeping it as something that is ambiguous and unknown. Like, you know, even if you're straight, you should be knowing about these subjects, and you shouldn't get informed just as we get informed about biology, about other subjects that seem to be more important, that these issues that revolve around our society and how it functions. So, yeah.
My name's Ray, and I've been yelled at on campus, everything from fuck you faggot to come suck my dick to go die of AIDS. I've also been spit at and yelled at when out with my friends. I guess the way it made me feel is just, it didn't bother me that much at the time, but it's that idea that there's no place on earth where you can go without getting shit for this. It's the idea of knowing that Berkeley is one of the best places you can be, and even then you get spit on in the street. You don't feel safe. You don't feel like you have a place to belong. And that could be really draining, even if you brush off all the comments.